If you passed Module 7 Mastery Check number 1 with either a 3 or a 4, you do not need to be doing this. If you did not pass with a 3 or a 4 for Mastery Check number 1, then you need to make sure you get this worksheet 7.1 Reteach from the math drawer and do it with me so we can get some extra practice so you can find your mistakes. So we have two ways we can do this. We always want to check, do I know how to get from here to 100? So we're trying to make it out of 100 because that's what's going to make the decimal and the percent. So how do I get from here to here? If you know the answer, so I know that it takes 20 times to get from here to here, so I do the same thing here. So 1 times 20 is 20. So if I know how to get from that number to 100, I can just do it. If I don't know, then I need to use the proportion strategy. So we set up our ratio, add 1 out of 5. What is that out of 100? So I'm going to crisscross multiply. 1 times 100 is 100. And then I'm going to take 100 and divide it by 5. So that can't go into 1, goes into 10 2 times. And then into 5 or into 0 times. So the answer either way is 20. So you're either knowing how do I get from here to here, or you're crisscross multiplying and dividing. So we're trying to make it out of 100 every time. So if it's already out of 100, like number 1, we love that. We have less work to do. So the ratio, right? It's kind of like just writing it as a fraction. 65 out of 100. Now, our decimal, right? We want to go to the hundredths place. Hundredths place, I need to take these and put them in these two decimal places, 65. And then the percent, I just take it. If it's out of 100, it's 65%. So these all say the same thing, 65 out of 100, 65 hundredths. A percent is out of 100, 65%, 65 hundredths. So every time we want out of 100. So 7 out of 100, write it as a fraction. The ratio, 7 out of 100, 7 to 100. It's already in 100, so we're going to take it to a decimal. So I need this 7 to go at the end. So think about what you need to put here, what needs to go here to hold that place. And then I just have 7%. Hey, this next one we're going to have to do a little one extra step because it's not out of 100. So we have the ratio 2 out of 10. I'm going to write it over here so we can do it sideways. And we need to get to 100. So I need to think, how do I get from 10 to 100? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It's 10 times. So if I times this by 10, I also need to times this by 10. So 2 times 10 is 20. So 2 times 10 is 20. Now I have 20 hundredths. So my decimal needs to go to the hundredths place. So we're going to put 20 here. And then the percent is just 20%, right? So it's 20 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 20 hundredths. They all are the same thing. So I want you to try number 4 on your own. It's exactly like number 3. Get to 100 from 10. That's right. We have 8 out of 10. We need to get to 100. So see if you can finish number 4. Come see me if you still need help. Hey, number 5, we're going to set up our problem. We have 2/5, and I want to get to 100. So this is like nickels, 5 cents, and I need 20 of these to get to 100. So I need to do 2 times 20 to find this number here. Then I write it as a decimal, 2, right? 100 has 2 zeros, so I should have 2 decimal places. And then the percent is just whatever number's over 100 as a percent. So 2 times 20 is 40. I put the 40 here, and then 40%. Hey, number 6, we have 17 out of 20. So I set it up as a ratio, and we need to make it into 100. So we have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. It takes 5 20s to get to 100. So now we need to do 17 times 5. So I'm going to have you try 17 times 5. That goes here. Then that number becomes the decimal and the percent. So whatever this answer is here, it's my numerator, it's my decimal, and it's my percent because they're all out of 100. So go ahead and finish number 6. Hey, next up we have 11 out of 25. So I set up my problem, 11 out of 25, and I need to get to 100. 25, I know it sounds big and scary. It's a great number. It's quarters. 25 cents is 1 quarter. So if I have 25, 50, 75, 100, it takes 4 quarters to make 1 whole dollar. So this was times by 4. So if I times by 4 here, I need to times by 4 here. So we need to do 11 times 4. That's my numerator. It's my decimal number. And that number is my percent out of 100, out of 100, out of 100 every single time. Okay, the next one we have 3/4. Again, we need to get to 100. This is like quarters. Whenever I'm hearing 4 or 25, fourths or 25, I'm thinking quarters. It takes 4 quarters to make a dollar, right? I need 4 groups of 25 to make 100. So I need to do 3 times 25 to find the numerator. If I have 3 quarters, how much money do you have? If I have 3 quarters, how much money is that? What percent of a dollar do you have? So see if you can finish that one. Hey, next we have 21 out of 50. So we're setting up our problem. 21 out of 50. What is that out of 100? 2 50s make 100. So 50 times 2. So now I need to do 21 times 2 to find this numerator. So that becomes your decimal. So 21 times 2 out of 100, out of the hundreds place, and the percent out of 100. That same number, all 3 places. Okay, and we're going to try the hardest ones on here. These numbers are not going to go nicely into 100. There's not a nice way to count and get to 100. So instead, we're going to want to do this proportion strategy because we won't know how to get from here to here and here to here. So we're going to use that crisscross proportion strategy. So we set it up the same way. I want 1 out of 8. And now we want to get to 100. So 1 out of 8 to 100. So we're going to do 1 times 100 is 100. Now we're going to divide that by 8. So we're taking 100. We're dividing it by 8, so I need 3 things up here. So 8 can't go into 1. It goes into 10 2 times. No, that's not true. 1 time, got carried away there. 1 times 8 is 8. 2 left over, that's what I was thinking. And a 0. Just make sure you're doing this math with me. So 8 goes into 20 2 times, which is 16. Now we're going to add another 0 here. So we're going to bring this down. So 20 minus 16 is 4 because it doesn't go in there perfect. So here we have decimal. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So we have 12.5 out of 100. So my decimal is going to look a little different. So 12 is the hundredths. So I need to put the 12 here, and then we'll just add on the 5 at the end. So really we just moved the decimal forward 2 places. If we look here, right, this was 44. The decimal's at the end. We just moved it forward 2 places to make 44. We just moved it forward. So we had 12.5 to make the decimal, I move the decimal 2 places forward because there's 2 zeros on 100. I had to move it 10 times, 100 times bigger. And then the percent, I just come right back here to that number over 100 is 12.5%. So you can't have half of something, right? Okay, so let's try 3 out of 12. So we're going to set up our problem, 3 out of 12, and we need to get to 100. So 3 times 100 is 300, and we need to divide that by 12 here. So we want to get our lines, so we line everything up. So 12 can't go into 3. 12 goes into 30, 12, 24, 36 is too big. It goes in there 2 times. Is 24. So leftover is 6. Bring down the 0. 12, 24, 36, 48, 12 more is 60. So that goes in there exactly 5 times. So this one doesn't have that decimal. So you don't have to move it and think about the decimal, right? When we have a decimal in our ratio, you just have to think what happens to the decimals, only one that changes a little bit. So write your decimal and write your percent. Okay, and our last one, we're going to set it up. We have 5 out of 8, but we need to get to 100. Now, it has the same denominator as this number 10. So I'm thinking it's going to be one of our weird decimal ones where we have to think about moving our decimal to create that decimal. So we want to do 5 times 100 is 500. And then we're dividing it by 8. Make sure you're doing the work with me. So here's our 3 places we need. 5 can't be divided by 8, but 8 can go into 50, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, and go in there 6 times. So there's 48, 2 left over, bring down the 0. 8 goes into 20, 2 times, right? Oh, this is exactly what happened over here. We had 20. So 16, so we bring down leftover 4. We're adding that decimal. Now 8 goes into 40 5 times. So we have 62.5 out of 100. So I'm going to go do the percent because that's the easy one. So 62.5%. And now my decimal, right? If I'm just ignoring the decimal right now, if I'm just saying, let me get this. If I'm just saying it's 62 out of 100, right? 62 hundredths, we move the decimal forward 2 places, 10, 100 times bigger. We just need to stick that 5 on the end. So it's 625 thousandths. It's still, if I write this out of 100, I have 62 hundredths and then another half. So we're just moving that decimal forward 2 places to make that problem there. So go ahead and finish those. If you still are confused, come and get help. You've got to be in charge of yourself and ask for help if you're not understanding. So go ahead and get that done, get it checked off, and then find your mistakes on your mastery check.